Hey guys, it's Josh Reviews. So, I'm here for the booze. Spooky. I'm here for the booze. Oh yeah. So, since I got my ghost t-shirt on, we're gonna have like some spooky ghost monster movie. So, today's film, we're gonna be covering Creeping Death. So, again, this was one of those films that the trailer just kind of dropped. And it was one of those films that was coming out. And I'm like, you know what? Put it in the list. I gotta watch it. I gotta review it. Because I had like different movies planned for October. And then this movie is like, hey, you mind if I be in your Halloween month? I'm like, sure. Are you good? We'll see if you're good. Well, this movie follows Tim. I don't know how old he is. I think he's in his early 20s, but he's trying to hang out with his group of friends on Halloween night, and his mother is dying of cancer. In fact, she's told she only has like 3 months to live. So his dad is really pressuring him to watch over her on Halloween. And he's like, okay, I'll do that. Well, what ends up happening is his friends get into some trouble with this old hermit, or not hermit, I'm sorry. He's an old fella, and they're like, hey, let's ding dong ditch his house. But then they're like, hey, he's got a creepy sack. Bag. He's got a creepy bag. He's got a creepy sack. He's got a creepy bag sack that is on his front porch, and upon stealing it, it's a bunch of dead animals. And I guess he was performing some ritual. It's kind of hinted at what he's doing. But anyways, they end up stealing this book, this ritualistic book. And upon reading it, or I guess fucking up with the ritual somehow, this demon shows up. And I forgot what it's called. It's like Eosis or Sorez. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. But this demon, ghost, ghoul, whatever it is, it basically tries to kill them, and the only way they can really defeat it is if they sacrifice one member, someone they love, or if they basically survive till 12 a.m. So that's what they try to do. They try to survive. And I'm going to just say it. This one was pretty fun. I had a fun time watching this movie. I didn't, with the last two movies I reviewed, I was not really I was a little worried. Not gonna lie. By the time this review's coming out, I would have watched Night of the Harvest and another movie. So anyways, but yeah, with the films that I've been watching, I was a little nervous that this film might suck, because obviously it's made on a lower budget. And you have to go into these films with that peace of mind that, okay, this is not going to be well produced. This isn't going to be like a Hollywood budget movie, whatever. Just take it for what it is and judge it on its own merits. Which I feel like a lot of people don't do when they watch these types of movies. People watch these types of movies and then they just kind of shit on them without really kind of not really acknowledging for what they are. That being said, this movie surprised the hell out of me. This movie was surprisingly enjoyable, and I had a pretty decent time with it. It wasn't great by any means, but I had a decent time. First of all, I want to say, thank God this movie's not boring. It's a little slow in the beginning, and I think it does take a little while or a little too long for the story to really get going. But we're following this character, Tim, and the interactions he has with his mother are really wholesome and sweet. I kind of related to him a little bit, besides one dramatic outburst he has in the beginning, which I thought was totally out of characteristic. But it was whatever. It was one little moment. It's to kind of address the plot. It's just it's one of those things. But I really thought Tim was a likable character, and the actor playing him played it straight. And I think that's the one thing that surprised me with this movie. A lot of the actors really actually gave a shit and genuinely gave a halfway decent performance. Again, obviously this is a low budget movie or an indie film, so it's not going to have like, the same quality as, professional actors. But for what it is, it's really good. And I'll even say it. I like the way the demon looked in this movie. He was kind of freaky in some spots. I was like, okay, that's obviously a dude in a mask, but he's got these like pumpkin-ish, like glowing eyes, and he looked really cool in some darker shots, like in like hallways and like the fog and everything. And the thing I like about this movie, and this is in part why I like these types of genre movies, because obviously I think it's like a supernatural slasher, but specifically these types of movies where the characters are always on the run. I love movies like that because it always keeps going. It doesn't stop. It always has the characters. It always movies like this always have characters on the go, and it never stops. The pacing doesn't, for me at least, it doesn't feel like it drags if it's done well. And I think this movie, for the most part, was done well. I feel like it progressed naturally. It had a beginning, middle, and end. And I think the middle part is really when the plot starts to get going. And it really starts to like pick up. Kills are happening. And I'm just like, damn, that was a pretty decent gore effect. I'm not going to lie. Again, gore hounds are going to love this shit. Let's just say that, okay? And honestly, I think I'm trying to think of like issues I have, because there was one thing that kind of bugged. Yeah, I want to say that we don't really know that much about the other characters compared to Tim and the girl he likes, which I already forgot her name. I think it's like Pamela or something. And they didn't, I mean, I bought their chemistry, but they don't really do a lot with it, if that makes sense. Like, it's there, I feel it, but they don't really do anything in terms of story with it. Like, even at the end when there's a twist, which I won't give, but there's a small twist with, her and Tim, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's something. That was kind of my reaction. I was just like, yeah, whatever. And I will say this, for a slasher, I mean, the characters are pretty smart. I mean, and this is something I haven't been really addressing in my reviews. I love it when a movie is dripping with holiday atmosphere. I don't care if it's realistic or unrealistic. I love it when a film that takes place on a holiday, like Halloween or Christmas, or just any holiday, it could be Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day. I love it to death when I see holiday horror themed movies, or just any holiday movies. It's just dripping, oozing with that atmosphere, that holiday cheer, man. Like, pumpkins are everywhere. There's fucking banners. There's bats. Spooky. It's all over the place. And I love it, man. I love it to death. And this movie, it's got it. So I want to say, yeah, besides a few characters that we don't really get to know too much about, one character that's just a complete other asshole for no reason other than he's an asshole. That's kind of his whole characteristic. I don't know if it's because he's drunk or if he was just always an asshole, but besides that, obviously it's on the lower budget of things, and obviously they can't get away with a lot of stuff, so they have to cut around corners, and it does maybe take a little too long for the plot to get going. Besides all that, this is a fairly decent horror film that, excuse me, this is a fairly decent horror movie that I would recommend. It's not great by any means, but I had a lot of fun. Tim is likable. The story was engaging. I thought the mythos they kind of gave the demon, ghost, whatever, it was interesting. Movie's dripping with Halloween atmosphere. The acting is pretty decent. It's shot fairly competent, and the editing is fine. Like, so it checks all the boxes for me to say, yeah, this is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a B. Again, it's not great, but I had fun. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.